Have you ever seen a train wreck so spectacular you just can't look away? What if I told you that Trainwreck cost $300 million and lasted less than a month? Today, we're diving deep into the story of CNN Plus, the streaming service that became one of the biggest, most expensive flops in modern media history. How could a media giant like CNN, with all its resources and brand power, get it so spectacularly wrong? Stick around, because this story is a wild ride of hubris, bad timing, and corporate chaos. First, let's set the stage. The year is 2021. The streaming wars are in full swing. Netflix, Disney+, HBO Max, Peacock. Everyone is launching a service trying to grab a piece of the direct-to-consumer pie. It was the gold rush of the digital age. In this climate, the executives at Warner Media, CNN's parent company at the time, looked at their prestigious news network and thought, why not us? The idea for CNN Plus was born, a premium, subscription-based streaming service dedicated to news, documentaries, and lifestyle content, featuring CNN's biggest stars. On paper, it didn't sound completely insane. The vision was ambitious. They weren't just putting their cable channel online. They were creating a whole new universe of content. They poached top talent from rival networks like Casey Hunt from NBC and Chris Wallace from Fox News, offering them multi-million-dollar deals to host their own shows. They hired hundreds of producers, journalists, and technicians. They planned to launch with a library of original series, live daily shows, and interactive features. The marketing budget was enormous. Ads were everywhere, promising a bold new era of news. The price tag for all this? A staggering $300 million just to get it off the ground, with a planned total investment of $1 billion over a few years. They were going all in. The leadership team was convinced they had a winner. Jeff Zucker, the then president of CNN, was the driving force behind the project. He saw CNN Plus as the future of the network, a way to reach younger, cord-cutting audiences who weren't watching traditional cable news. He envisioned a service that could attract millions of subscribers, each paying $5.99 a month. The internal projections were incredibly optimistic, aiming for 2 million subscribers in the first year alone. They were betting the farm on the belief that people would pay for news content in the same way they pay for movies and TV shows. This was a critical assumption, and, as we'll see, a deeply flawed one. So, after months of hype and a massive marketing blitz, CNN Plus finally launched on March 29, 2022. The platform was sleek, the shows were polished, and the big-name talent was front and center. Chris Wallace had his interview show, Anderson Cooper had a show about parenting, and there were shows on food, travel, and culture. It was a buffet of content designed to appeal to everyone. But from day one, there was a problem. A huge problem. Nobody was signing up. The initial numbers were disastrous. Reports leaked that on some days fewer than 10,000 people were using the service at the same time. For a platform that cost $300 million to build, that's not just bad, it's catastrophic. To put that in perspective, that's like building a billion-dollar stadium for a team that only draws a few hundred fans per game. Within the first 2 weeks, it was clear that the optimistic projection of 2 million subscribers was a pipe dream. So what went wrong? Well, almost everything. Let's start with the most obvious issue, the content. While they had big stars, what could they actually talk about? Due to complex contracts with cable providers, CNN Plus was forbidden from streaming the live CNN feed or covering breaking news as it happened. Imagine a news service that can't cover news. Chris Wallace could interview a politician, but he couldn't report on a major world event in real time. This created a bizarre, toothless product. People turned to CNN for live, breaking news. Without that, what was the core value proposition? A collection of talk shows and documentaries? Other streaming services already offered that, and, frankly, they did it better. Then there was the price. In a world of streaming fatigue, where people are already juggling subscriptions to Netflix, Disney+, and a half dozen others, Asking them to pay an extra $5.99 a month for news talk shows was a tough sell. Most people get their news for free from countless sources online, on social media, or through their existing TV packages. The idea of paying a premium for a non-essential news-adjacent service just didn't resonate with the average consumer. They fundamentally misjudged the market's willingness to pay. But the real death blow for CNN Plus came from a corporate earthquake that had nothing to do with the service itself. Just as CNN Plus was launching, its parent company, Warner Media, was in the final stages of a massive merger with Discovery, Inc. The new company would be called Warner Bros. Discovery, and it would be led by Discovery's CEO, David Zaslav. Zaslav is known in the industry as a ruthless cost-cutter and a pragmatist. He and his team took one look at the CNN Plus balance sheet, the anemic subscriber numbers, and the flawed strategy, and they were horrified. The incoming Discovery executives saw a billion-dollar money pit that was hemorrhaging cash with no clear path to profitability. Their entire corporate strategy was about consolidating streaming services, not launching new, niche ones. They already had HBO Max and Discovery Plus, and their plan was to merge them into one giant super service, now just called Max. A small, struggling news app simply didn't fit into that grand vision. The timing couldn't have been worse. The old leadership launched CNN Plus as their swan song, rushing it to market before the new bosses took over, perhaps hoping to prove its value. Instead, they handed the new management team a very expensive, very public failure on a silver platter. The decision from the new leadership was swift and brutal. On April 21, 2022, just 23 days after it launched, Warner Bros. Discovery announced that CNN Plus would be shut down at the end of the month. It was an unprecedented move. Hundreds of employees who had just moved their families and started new jobs were laid off. Multi-million-dollar contracts with stars like Chris Wallace were suddenly up in the air. The entire project, all $300 million of it, was being written off as a complete loss. The service officially went dark on April 30, 2022, just 1 month and 1 day after it began. The fallout was immense. It became a case study in corporate arrogance and mismanagement. How could so many smart people be so wrong? The story of CNN Plus is a powerful lesson. It shows that brand recognition isn't enough. It proves that you must have a clear value proposition that consumers are actually willing to pay for. And, most importantly, it's a stark reminder of the dangers of bad timing and corporate turmoil. They built a beautiful, expensive ship, but they launched it straight into a hurricane while pointing it in the wrong direction, with a product nobody really asked for. In the end, CNN Plus will be remembered not for its content, but for its spectacular implosion. A $300 million ghost that haunted the halls of CNN, a symbol of a gamble that failed in every conceivable way. It is a cautionary tale for any company thinking of jumping into the streaming wars. Have a good product, understand your audience, and for goodness sake, check who your new boss is going to be before you spend $1 billion. What do you think was the biggest mistake CNN Plus made? Let me know down in the comments. This stuff is fascinating to break down. Thanks so much for watching, and if you enjoyed this deep dive, make sure to hit that subscribe button for more stories from the world of business and media. See you in the next one.